All right, I've got a lot to go through here really quickly, so let's just get going. My name's Dr. Doug Buettner. I'm assistant or adjunct professor out here at University of Utah. I'm also deputy chief scientist at Stevens Institute of Technologies, UARCS, the CERC and Acquisition Innovation Research Center. Hit the next slide. All right, so I want to go through 5 different cases that I've been involved with analyzing. The first one is a MUFON case, 124190, where 5 pilots witnessed something over the Pacific. One of them was, or I should say 2 of them were flying out of Australia, and then there were 3 pilots on a flight out of Hawaii. One of those was in training. The next case will be a Spirit Airlines passenger video. She was recording as she was on approach into LaGuardia, and she caught something very quickly going through the camera. And so we'll analyze that one, show that one in terms of what we think it is. And then another one is a ground camera that was situated in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that caught something very interesting in the sky. And then the fourth one will be Saugatuck Reservoir Orange Orb that I've been working with Ben Hansen on. Officer Robert Klein caught it. Very interesting case that we're still analyzing. And then the last one is an anomalous pilot that provided us a bunch of videos, some of which were just firing Starlinks, and we'll show you an example of those. But the last one was out of, and I hope I pronounced this right, Mühldorf, Germany, and that one is interesting and still under analysis as well. So the MUFON case, to show you the 2 different images here. On the left-hand side, it was taken at UTC back in 2022 in August of, in the evening, I should say, of August. And then it was captured again in another picture here about, what's that, about 16 seconds later. And you can see it already gone from Jishu over near the star Castor in the constellation Orion. And kind of zoom in on what it looked like. That is about 1.5 degrees across there. The pilots indicated they thought it was somewhere between 1/2 mile and 0.8 of a mile away. And then if you want to show you one of the frames from the video, if you actually looked at the video, which was doing it at a much faster frame rate than the camera was taking in terms of exposure rate, you can see that there were actually a gap structure that was showing up. And so we're going to look very closely at that one and just kind of show you here where they were when they took the video and the images, basically off the coast of California out there in the Pacific Ocean. So what we did is there was some, say, controversy almost immediately after this was presented at the SEU conference a couple of years ago. And so what I did is I went in and independently analyzed it using a software that I have access to, one of which is called Satellite Orbital Analysis Program from Aerospace Corporation. And the other one was System Toolkit, or STK, from ANSYS Corporation. And so I did it in SOAP, and then I had 2 different students working in SDK to reproduce it there as well. And one of the things we had to do, obviously, was download the launch information, and then we went to Celestrack to actually try and identify and pull down the satellites from Celestrack, the TLEs, 2-line elements, so that we could actually model it. The results of that modeling was this is from the cockpit view. Go through in the paper we published, which say had in a conference when we published it. But what we did is you can see the satellites here on the left, and this is at the time of the first photo, and then at the time of the second photo, you can see it's very near Castor. So we're, I would say, very, very confident that we've been able to show that this was in fact Starlink satellites. Okay. Now the situation from the geometry is, yeah, your aircraft is over here, and it is basically at night there. the starlings are still in the sun, and then the sunlight is getting specularly reflected off of the satellites into the direction of the pilots. And so this is kind of the glint angle problem. Flaring satellites have the same problem, but it's usually a much shorter duration. And I've got a video from the British pilot I'll show you in a minute, as I mentioned in the agenda. Okay, the next case is Enigma Labs case 290972. It was posted on Reddit by someone who quote unquote copied the video off of the Witness social media site. And so eventually, Ben Hansen and I were, and some other people on Ben Hansen's team were looking at this one. When we heard from Enigma Labs that they actually had the witness. So we interviewed the witness, and then it was presented on News Nation. The witness was Ms. Michelle Reyes, and she said she was actually in seat 35A in a Spirit Airlines flight from Myrtle Beach into LaGuardia. Okay, and so fundamentally, these are going to be the 5 frames that she captured, and I'm going to zoom in on the object here on the left so you can kind of see what it looks like. And so this is the 2nd frame, the 3rd frame, 4th frame, 5th frame, and then the 5th frame, and that's it. So one of the things I did on the 10th, I started looking into this, is I figured I'd, see if the FAA knew anything about this, and I was having a hard time trying to find where I could actually ask a question. I found this FAA UAS support center, and they had a little, question submission location. So basically, try to put in a concerned passenger. Can anybody get me a list of drones that were reported in New York City that might have been interfering with flights? And this is the response I got: such data is not available, which was pretty disappointing. Then the next thing I wanted to do was, okay, I knew looking at it, it was probably one of 2 things. One was a balloon, and the second one was a drone. But I wanted to try and reproduce and see if I could figure out, okay, where was the aircraft going? What were the winds aloft doing? So we went through and basically modeled this, and then started looking at the geometry. So this balloon fit the basic profile edge on, and so doing some I'll say back of the envelope calculations. And so one of the things in the video, and I'm going to go back here for a second so you can see that I've got this bridge here, and that is the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. And now that I knew the flight, I could take the ADS-B data and insert the video information into it. And so what I've got here, right, and let me get my cursor over here so you can see it. What I've got right here is this span. And so what I did is I basically Googled it, found on Wikipedia, that's about 183 meters. And so looking at the geometry, in particular for that center one, I knew that center one was very close in the image to that span. And so just some basic quick geometry, back of the envelope calculation, using this balloon as an example, right? Went in and estimated it should have been about 28.7 meters past the wingtip, and so that's from the point of the camera out to where it was. So 1.7 times past the wingtip in terms of how far out the wingtip was from the witness. And so then what I did at a couple of years ago at the SU conference is I brought one of these out there. You can see here on the ground, I've got a tape measure. That's the tape measure there. And so I basically went out and just started in about 3 meter increments, walked out and had one of our SCU members record me the entire way out on video with an iPhone 12. He had an iPhone 12 Pro, she had an iPhone 12. Looking at the optics, it was close enough. And we found out the best match was about 28.7 meters, and it was pretty close. So we consider this one, I'll say, better than 90% confirmed that it's probably this balloon. In particular, if you look at the weather on that day, what you'll see at LaGuardia Airport is they had some very significant gusts starting at about 6 a.m., 6:30, 7 a.m. And then further out along Long Island at the MacArthur Airport, you can see they had similar gusts, but they actually lasted longer into the day. And so I would say the conditions were right for a balloon, a party balloon, to get, I would say, out of somebody's hands up into the air. And so that basically is what went by the aircraft. So now I want to show you this next case, this Enigma Labs case. An individual started getting interested in UAPs, and so he had stuck a camera out on his roof to see if he could catch something. And this is a YZ camera. I think it's pronounced a YZ2 or something like that. But I want to show you, this is sped up quite a bit, so we're not sitting here spending half the time watching this video. But I want you to watch down here on the right-hand side. You're going to see something come out of here, and I want you to watch very carefully what it does. And take a note of the amount of time that elapses on the camera as this thing progresses through the field of view. So I don't know about you, but I'm highly suspicious that something would sit there for almost 3 minutes. It looked almost exactly like a star when you zoomed in on it. Now, the trail you see behind it actually is an artifact of the camera itself. The trail looking at satellites and other stuff that individual provided me, it's just, it's probably just how quickly the camera integrates its next image, such that it's still got some residual illumination from prior images. And so it takes, so many frames before that's gone. So that's my suspicion on the trail. But the fact that it sat there for 3 minutes, looked almost exactly like a star, just out of the constellation Lyra, was very interesting. Okay, the next case is a case I am working on with Ben Hansen. We've also had the guys from UAPX, I believe at least one of them there, Dr. Zadagas, is in there in person. And so we've been doing a lot of analysis on this. We've got some very interesting videos. I'm going to show you a reenactment first of what Officer Klein says he saw, and then I'll also show you the video. And then after I show you the video, I will show you another video that Ben Hansen had actually taken, and we had completely forgot about because we had so much data. But at first we kind of wrote it off, but we took another look at it, and you'll see some interesting movement out of it. Okay, so first the reenactment. Up. I'm going to go back again. I think I'm not sharing my audio. 1 second. I want to make sure you can hear this. All right. Well, it's not let me share my audio, but I'll go ahead and just play it. Hopefully, you can hear it well enough. All right, now I want to show you the actual video he caught. Now, one of the things you saw in the reenactment when we interviewed him, he says, you know, he's driving along the reservoir there in southern Connecticut, and he was thinking about his patrol. When all of a sudden he was getting blinded by this light, and at first he thought it was hunters, deer hunters, messing with him with a spotlight, but eventually it got so bright he you know was trying to shield his eyes. He said, and he pulled over, and then he saw the orb. He said for probably a minute or more, he said he was just kind of trying to figure out what the heck he was looking at. But then, you know, he had his window open because he had rolled it down as he was in the process of stopping. And so what he did is he turned his police officer's spotlight at it and flashed it a couple times. He said, and then it just kind of like immediately, faster than he could follow it, shot across the reservoir. And then he kind of you know kind of came to his senses and pulled out his camera. And this is the video he caught. I'll just show you a few seconds of it. So it what you see there is it looks like appears to turn. The video is about 100 seconds long. Just go into the first frame, zoom in on this thing, so you can kind of see how big it is in terms of pixels. The center area right there is about 12 pixels across and about 22 pixels high, and that fluctuates throughout the entire video. There seems to be some kind of a structure around it, some kind of a shell, if you will. One of the things that we're hypothesizing right now is when it was very bright like this, you know, somehow you're like it either it's opened up or you're looking into, I want to say, the center structure there. But when it turns or you're normally seeing it, you're kind of seeing this outer shell. And so that's pretty bright. And so we've been doing some experiments with drones out there to try and figure out how bright it was. We had a 10K lumen drone out there. We talked about the SU conference this past year in terms of the kind of the research we've been doing, comparing it to lanterns and other things. But right now, we don't know what this is. We're still trying to investigate it. On the very first expedition we went out there, we actually identified 4 additional witnesses. So we set up interviews with them. What you see here on the individual on the left is Brian Enton from News Nation. We had invited them out to come with us and kind of document it. Apparently, the individual out there who doesn't live, or actually is on News Nation. She actually doesn't live too far from there, she says. So then you got Ben Hansen, who obviously towers above all of us. The witnesses in the middle, and then myself, and then one of the other team members, John Lucas. Okay, and while we were out there, we interviewed a reporter that has 50 years of documented cases out there. And so you got a website. If you can actually go to the website, I'll put my cursor over here. See if I can. No, it doesn't show up. If you click on it, I'll put these videos out there and the slides so everybody can go track them, and I'll show you where that will be at the very end of the presentation. But so you can go to the website and see some of the other stuff that they've seen and captured out there. But now I want to show you a video that we've never showed to anybody else. Ben, go ahead and gave me permission to show it here, just to kind of show you some of the things that we're seeing. He actually had an IR camera zoomed in on this. And so what I want you to do when you're watching this thing go across here is I want you to watch very carefully as it goes across in between the trees on the right hand side over here. You'll see it do something interesting. So we confirmed with flight radar, as you can hear Ben talking there. We didn't see it. We confirmed later that there was nothing there on flight radar. But what was interesting, as it was going through the trees here, you could kind of see it pause. And then it kind of went along and paused again. We're pretty certain that's not parallax because you can see the edges of the trees, and we can measure from the tree over to see that, we're not seeing movement. And so we can do that perspective within the trees. So we think this is another video of that same phenomena. Again, we don't know what it is. We're still investigating it. Some kind of either I'm going to call it a plasmoid, some kind of a plasma type appearing thing. All right, going to the British pilot. The British pilot provided us a lot of videos he wanted to try and look at. So I want to show you first the flaring Starlink, so everybody just has an idea what they look like to pilots. So you can just kind of see they go very fast. They kind of flare up, disappear. Literally, what you're seeing is the pilot is looking north above the North Pole, and so you're seeing them up there as they're coming across in the summertime. All right, now the next case. So in this particular flight, the pilot was flying from Turkey up to London. As he was in northern Austria, actually kind of north eastern Austria, I should say, he saw this thing that went through, or I should say went through. You'll see it in the video, but it started, and he said that at first they thought it was a planet. He said it was a very bright object that was directly ahead of him. And so he snapped an image, and then as he as they started getting closer, he snapped another one. And as they got closer, he snapped a couple more. And then he took a very short video. And so this is where he was. He's in Salzburg. So north is off here to the right. That's why I say kind of northeastern. And Muhldorf, hopefully I pronounced that right, is just off his left wing as he is doing the video. And so the video is, or for him, before the video, the UAPs are directly in front of him. It's starting to move a little off to the right, and you'll see this in the images. I'll show you the first image and the fourth image for perspective. So this is what the thing looks like, and it's on its horizon. And you kind of see it's kind of below the horizon a little bit there. At least you can still see the atmosphere. This is the zoomed in image of what he saw on the first one. And you've got these two little, I call them suborbs, or orbiting orbs, or whatever that is, off the main structure. Okay, now the next image, you can see he's here. Oh, and by the way, you can see the background stars. Get my mouse over here. So I've actually fed this into astronomy.net, and I still haven't got a solution on it. I do know that the constellation Hercules and Bootes was in the back using some of my simulation software, but I haven't actually picked out the stars yet. This analysis is still going on. And so that's what the object looks like now. Now you notice that still has this kind of orby type thing above it, but the one that was off to the right appears to have gone, and at least it's not in the image. The two other images I have there, I mentioned, I won't show them here, but I will mention that in one of them, you got an orb type thing here. In the third one, it looks like it's here. And then obviously in this fourth one, it's gone. Now I'm going to show you the actual video and watch him take it down the starboard side of the aircraft. So that was pretty unusual. We've had other people looking at this, obviously. I still don't have any good explanation for it. But if I want to take just a quick vector and try and figure out where it is, you can kind of see it going from here to here. Maybe it's about that far away. He did say it was above the aircraft. He was at 34,000 feet, or about 10,380 meters, give or take. And that was barometric altitudes. He said that as it passed, it appeared to accelerate. I'm not sure yet if that's due just to the motion of his aircraft and the fact it was almost in front of him, And then as he's taking it, his velocity makes it look like it's accelerating. So we're still analyzing that. With the stars in the background, once I figure out which ones is which, I can probably get a better idea about where it was. So at the moment, I'm saying it was probably in that area somewhere. And Muhldorf is off here, just off to the left. Looking at the skyline inside of Google Earth, there's me looking down the image flight track. Image one here is down at the very bottom. And then go to the next one. Now I'm actually got the location of the movie down here at the very, very bottom. And so you can kind of see what the different towns were and cities that were in his field of view. Okay, so one of the things I always do is I put my presentations and my analysis out on my GitHub site. And so what I'll do is I will take this presentation, turn it into PDF, and I'll stick it in the presentations location. And that covers it. And if there's any questions, let me know.
Yes, hello. Since the subject of plasmoids came up, have you had any cases where apparent intelligent behavior was observed?
Oh, great question. Yes. And it's a hard yes. In both cases, Officer Klein said he thought it was like studying him or was like curious about him. When we talked to the other witness, Diane Maxwell, she said that when she saw it, first she saw two things in the distance, and she said, at first she thought it was an airplane, which is why she's like, well, I don't usually see airplanes from that direction. So she thought it was maybe, that's what drew her interest in it. But as it got closer, she said it was like two little orbs, and pretty soon it was like right above her head. And she said that it looked like they were playing, like they were kids. And then she noticed there was a third orb off to her left, and it would have been above the elementary school. And she said it was like at some point she saw the two orbs go over to the big one, like the mom calling the kids. And she said then all of a sudden it just took off back towards the reservoir. And so in both cases, both witnesses said it seemed to have intelligent behavior. And so I would say that's a hard yes. And in fact, intelligent plasmoid is, I would say, at the bottom, not at the total bottom, but in terms of my top 10, it's probably number 7 right now in terms of things I'm investigating.
So thank you. I have also one question. Did the pilot in the Germany Mühldorf case contact the flight control or tower?
He hasn't mentioned that he did. Most of these pilots, they're just concerned about what they're seeing. Some, what I've seen is some will report it and some will not. I can ask him. I'll send him an email and ask him if they reported it while they're flying. Because he wants to remain anonymous, him and his co-pilot. So my guess is no, but I will double check.
Okay, so maybe I can mention that since we set up our pilot UAP reporting form on our website, we have already 2 reports from pilots. So I hope that in time it will be known more by pilots and they try to report it using this.
Perfect. I'll mention it to him.